Hello, my friends. Welcome everyone to another edition of Snowflake Live on LinkedIn. I'm today with two of my Snowflake friends, Kurt and Lynn. We'll soon have an introduction of each of them, because today we're going to talk about educational services for Snowflake data governance. So I hope all of you are doing fine around the world. I would love to know where you're watching me from. Right now, I'm in San Mateo. And let's start with our intros. Lynn first, where are you right now? And what's a technical curriculum developer?
Hi, everybody. I'm Lynne Vinluan, and I'm here in the Los Angeles area. As a technical curriculum developer, I work on project teams to create course materials for on-demand training, as well as course materials for instructor-led training, the type that instructors like Kurt deliver.
Nice. So you write the materials, and now Kurt, what? Let's learn a little more about you.
Yeah, so hi everybody. I'm Kurt Lysy. I'm actually based here in Boise, Idaho, out west, and I'm a senior technical instructor. I've been with Snowflake for a little under 3 years. I came to Snowflake from Oracle, where I was there for about 21 years. I was an instructor there. I did consulting deployments. I was a product manager in the database security side, and I've worked out in the industry for quite a while. In fact, I've been working in the security and data governance space, actually going way back in my career, even before IT security was really kind of a big thing. Working on some really big government projects. So it's a pleasure to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you here, and I'm sure our friends that are connected now uh, would love to learn more about training, how you develop these trainings, why these trainings are important, how you end up imparting them. They might have a lot of questions. So, just to say hi, we have friends in Prague, in Brazil, Zamba, New York, Ukraine, Boston, New Jersey, India, LA, Ukraine, India, Switzerland. Slava
Great.
Ukraine, Canada, Belgium, the UK, Venezuela. So yes, the whole world is watching us now. I love it. Um, so let's talk about training and educational services. What is educational services and what's new in data governance?
Well, educational services is a training arm for Snowflake, and what we've done uh, in educational services recently is we created a new class that is offered as a one-day add-on specifically focused on data governance. So it covers the best practices and techniques for governing your data that's resident in Snowflake.
Data governance is really important. Why take some data governance training?
Well, data governance, like you said, Felipe, it's a big concern for many organizations, and it's an area that's complex and important for you to be able to trust the data that you're using for your business decisions and also for regulatory compliance. And at Snowflake, we love data, and our data shows that there's been fast adoption of data governance features across our customer base. So our educational services team felt that our newer customers would also want to learn to unlock that value of these data governance capabilities that are just built into the Snowflake that they already purchased.
Mhm.
So this one-day instructor-led class includes also hands-on labs for using these features in a real Snowflake account as a lab environment.
For sure. There's so many acronyms when we're talking about governance. What do we mean by data governance in Snowflake?
Yeah, basically all of those acronyms you're talking about is basically the regulations that a lot of organizations are faced with to manage those vast amounts of data that's coming in from various sources. So, for example, GDPR at an international level, for a regional level, there's like CCPA, HIPAA for healthcare data. As a matter of fact, Felipe, can we invite our participants to put in the chat window some of the regulations that they're complying with now in in their environments, and maybe we can see which ones are more prevalent among the people who are here today.
I love to see that, especially because we have people from all around the world. There's so many different regulatory frameworks. Gregory, right now, for example, says that he's in the middle of data governance. So he's excited to see how much he knows. But Gregory, which frameworks are you using? Um,
Some other examples. Go
yeah,
ahead.
please.
Some other examples are, besides HIPAA for specifically healthcare data, there's Sarbanes-Oxley for financial data, sometimes called SOX, SOX, and PCI for credit card data. There are different ones for different industries. And even for something like GDPR, which is a European regulation, you don't have to be an organization based in Europe. It's just if you're holding data for your customers who are located in Europe, that applies to you as well.
Well, yes, I see already some people like Lisa talking about HIPAA, CCPA, and Rostan talking about GDPR. Does Snowflake have their own methodology, or how does this work, Lynn?
Oh, yes. Well, we have a set of features. Snowflake has created a set of features built in out of the box to manage and govern the data in Snowflake. So certain security features like encryption, they're available in all editions. And most of the ones specific to data governance in your account are in Enterprise Edition and above. So back to the class. The class covers the built-in Snowflake data governance features that you can use to fit into your own data governance setup. What capabilities and commands you use to automatically classify your data as sensitive. No matter which of these regulations that everyone's chatting, they'll require you to do certain tasks with your data, track your data lineage, those kinds of things. So the lab exercises in the class let you try features out for yourself and also give you information about which commands to use together. The key is that the Snowflake capabilities fit your implementation.
Cool. So we can adapt to wherever our customers need, and we develop these tools with our customers.
Yes, exactly. And so the methodology that we have and our framework that we have lets you be more, lets Snowflake support your implementation. So for example, if you have a centralized approach for data governance or a decentralized approach or a hybrid approach, the capabilities will support your setup. Same goes for your policies, the data governance policies, and also the masking policies. It's flexible enough for a variety of different ways of implementing.
Yeah, as Gregory says here, he's working with PII, and masking is important, object tagging is important. I know Kurt has a demo prepared for us, but before we go there, who should take this class? Who are you targeting with it?
The class is designed for Snowflake users with data governance roles in their organization. So for example, data owners, data stewards, data custodians, those kinds of roles. But also in addition, as a career path, anybody in a Snowflake data management role may want to upskill into this important area for governance. So just like Snowflake evolves from its beginnings as a data warehouse in the cloud to an more inclusive data cloud platform, the role of a Snowflake DBA can expand into a broader Snowflake administrator involved in the governance of the data that's resident in Snowflake. And the same could be said for data engineers who need to know how to protect the data at different stages along the data pipeline.
I see. So you're targeting a broad range of people when designing this class, but what are the prerequisites? English is hard.
Prerequisites? Yes.
Thank you.
There's no official prerequisites except the fact that we're aiming it at the Snowflake users who have a working knowledge of Snowflake. Since it's just a one-day class, we kind of hit the ground running, so we don't have time to spend on like basic ramping up type of things. So a good preparation would be the Snowflake Fundamentals course, or one of our role-based classes. A good lead-in would be administering Snowflake, or Snowflake Data Engineer would be another role-based course that's like a good preparation. And except that being said, if you already are working in Snowflake, you're managing object access, you're working with Snowflake data pipelines, you should be fine. Just be ready for a full day.
A full day of fun. And now, this class is not free. And there's a lot of free resources to learn about Snowflake, data governance, that people can find for free. Why would people pay for this class?
Oh, this training is a great value for you to get started quickly on data governance in Snowflake. So what do you get, right? First, you get a live instructor with a strong understanding of Snowflake and the adoption best practices, who can explain those nuances of this complex subject of data governance. So our Snowflake instructors typically have a background, like Kurt said, he has a background in Oracle. Here in our team, they have backgrounds in other technologies, but they also, on our team, focus on Snowflake all day, every day. Second of all, the content and the lab exercises save you time. So you can see how to put the recommendations and best practices together. Our labs in this class are built on an end-to-end use case for context. So you can see where you might be able to use the techniques in your workflow. Third, you get a login to a 30-day lab environment that is a real Snowflake account. It's not a simulation. It's not a generic trial account. It's a real Snowflake account that is curated with the data that you need to do the labs, which means the data that's there is conducive to doing data governance type of tasks. So it's 30 days. The class is only 1 day, but you get 30-day access to the lab environment. The lab scripts you get to download and take with you. You can use them as templates as a starting point for your own access policies, for your own data masking, or to categorize data in your account, those kinds of things. In addition, you get a student workbook with explanations of those lab steps, the code to download. You can download the workbook to have and keep forever.
Yes. So you get access to live instructors like Kurt. The content you've been designing it, working with the Snowflake engineers that are designing these features, with the product managers. You get a 30-day lab environment. And I have some interesting questions here, but speaking of real live instructors, I know Kurt has some examples for us. Do you want to show us a little bit of it, Kurt?
Okay, very good. So let me go ahead and share my screen.
Yes, and then we will answer some questions that we are getting live right now, but let me get your screen.
Okay.
And
okay, so can everybody see my screen? Is that visible?
Right now they cannot, but right now, yes, they can. Yay.
Okay. Okay, so I'm going to be giving you kind of a short overview demo of what we can do with data governance based on what we cover in our class. I wanted you to see a couple of slides before I jump into the actual hands-on part here, to kind of show you the overall approach and the process that we walk you through in our class. Okay. Some of the biggest challenges involving deploying data governance is first knowing what data that you have and what you've defined as sensitive. Okay, so being able to go ahead and walk through the process of classifying your data and determining what is sensitive and what is not sensitive is a really critical step. Okay, in Snowflake, you have the ability of either taking advantage of any existing process that you've gone through manually and have already classified your data, or we also offer an automated capability. In fact, I'll show you a little bit of the output of that in just a moment, where you can actually go ahead and have Snowflake analyze the specific objects that you want to derive specific tags for as being sensitive. and have it go ahead and actually perform an analysis based on both the column names in these objects, and it actually does a sample of the actual physical data in the table, and it actually derives a set of candidate tags based on things like, social security number, um, employee name, zip code, phone numbers, and things like that. And from that aspect of things, we actually derive a set of object tags. Now, in Snowflake, we have the ability of utilizing the automated process in conjunction or exclusively using a manual tagging approach. Okay. And what I'm going to be showing you here in a minute for my tax schema demo is the fact that I set up a series of tags already on several tables. Okay. Part of it was done using the automated mechanism. Part of it, I actually just manually tagged the specific attributes myself. But once you've classified your sensitive data and have identified and built out a set of object tags that are actually storable objects, those are actually first-class objects to find and manage within Snowflake, we then can actually build out a set of policies. And what was brought up a few moments ago about our overall strategy with regard to data governance is we ensure with data governance in Snowflake that you can fully deploy separation of duty completely, so that, for example, any of your database administrators using their DBA roles would still be able to do their respective jobs managing the databases and structure and so on, but they would have literally no access to any of the sensitive data. I know that earlier in my career, I had that as a challenge where often as a DBA, I had full access, read, write access to customer data. It was crazy. With data governance, obviously, that's not really going to be permitted, and we can actually lock down those controls quite easily. What I'm going to show you in the demo is the ability of setting up levels of access down at the row and even the column level. I'm sure you're all familiar with the idea of using, role-based access control, where we can actually provide restriction of access, down to the individual database schema and even object level view, tables, and so on. We can go a lot further with than that by utilizing both row access policies to restrict access down to the row level, as well as restricting access to specific sensitive columns by using column level data masking as well here. And I'll have a chance to show you briefly how we can actually deploy that with a couple of simple policies. The other part I want to mention about this is, as Lynne had alluded to, you're going to want to make sure that you're identifying exactly how you want to manage your data governance policy solution within your Snowflake accounts. And you can either go with a centralized approach, where it would be more like a data governance team that would be managing all of your policies and applying them. It could be decentralized, where maybe more of the data stewards for their respective databases and schemas would be managing those policies, or it could be a hybrid approach. I'm going to be showing you primarily a centralized approach here. In addition to providing policy management for protecting your sensitive data, we also have the ability of protecting this data even through data sharing. Now, that part I won't have time in our demo to show you, but would have the ability, for example, if I was sharing various sensitive tables with another account, I can actually create masking policies on actual data sharing, data shares themselves, and restrict access to, say, either full masking, partial masking, or no masking at all, depending on the share that's actually being used. And then the last thing, and I'll show a little bit of this here in my demo, is it's essential in data governance is that you have a very thorough, integrated way to audit and track access to all of your sensitive data down to the table and column level. And through access history metadata that we capture within Snowflake accounts, you would have the ability of literally tracing all of the queries and write operations, including updates, load, unload operations for all of your sensitive objects within your Snowflake account, okay? Including being able to show what we call data lineage. So I can actually identify, say, through a report that I may need to produce for one of my compliance requirements, is be able to show, say, for one of my taxpayer tables, how the data was ingested, who did it, when it was done, what role was used, and then if any of that data was queried or copied into other tables, like using cloning or create table as select, I would have the ability of auditing that kind of information as well here.
So
So let's
let's
go
get
ahead
to
and
the
try this out.
demo. Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm getting some questions like, for example, the cost of it. And
Okay.
Snowflake is replying in real time that the class is $1,000 per person in a public setting, or people can get a private class for 15 students for $9,000. And people are dying to see the demo that you have ready for us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I realize I'm down to about only 4 minutes, so I'm going to kind of hit the key aspects of it. I wanted to point this out before I jump into the demo. I'm going to be showing you access to 3 different tables in the tax schema. Taxpayer itself is the main table. It contains both corporate and individual tax data. Okay, for individual taxpayers, we have dependents, 0, 1, or many, and also wages that we collect as well. I'm not a tax accountant, so I've done my best to try to at least provide some level of details down at the individual column level in terms of sensitivity. So let's give this a whirl. Okay, I'm going to pop over here. I can, and I want to just what I'm going to do here is because of time constraint, I'm going to show you some of the output of some of the things I've already done with data classification. Okay, so for example, over here with the taxpayer table, what I had applied already is a set of manual tags for the columns within this table. Okay, and what I did here is my instructor one policy admin role was actually responsible for going ahead and actually assigning these tags. So you can see here, in fact, let me just kind of scroll over here. Columns like, number of exemptions, taxpayer ID, last name, first name, zip code, and so on. I've already gone ahead and manually tagged that data as either sensitive, highly sensitive, or confidential. Now, in this case, what I'm showing you here is where I applied manual tags, okay? In the class, I also show you how we can actually use the automated approach. Now, be aware, though, the automated approach is actually performing largely a sampling operation. So I've noticed, like, for example, things like the column name called taxpayer ID actually does not get flagged by the automated approach. I can manually go ahead and create a tag on it, but a lot of it's going to be driven also by the name of the column. If I change the name from taxpayer ID to taxpayer SSN, the automated way would pick it up quite easily here, okay? And you can see over here, even for taxpayer dependents, I've already derived out a set of tags for sensitive, and there's some highly sensitive data there as well. There's dependent, SSN, dependent relationship, last name and first name, and so forth, okay? So what I want to do right now is show you a little bit about how we can actually set up policies here for this, okay? Now, row access policies, again, part of what you're going to be doing here is you got to assess exactly how you want to be able to limit access to the data itself here, okay? And the conditions under which you want to. I realize I'm already running out of time. I'm going to create one single row access policy here, okay? And I'm going to go ahead and I will apply it to just one of my tables here, the taxpayer table. Now, this particular row access policy is going to restrict access based on the role that's being used. For example, like a senior tax analyst will be able to see all of the rows of data, and then a junior analyst or even someone that's more of just a tax user might be seeing a subset of it, okay? So, for example, if I come out here, and I'll just show you one here, to begin with here, a senior corporate tax analyst actually would be able to see not all of the tax data. In fact, in my table, I currently have 62 rows. You'll notice here at the bottom, only 37 rows are being visible because it's only seen the corporate tax information. Okay, so for the corporate taxpayers, okay, and not any of the individual users. In the case of the user over here, tax senior analyst, it's going to be able to see only the individual taxpayer data. So you can see it's 25 rows. And here is the a different set of rows of data being seen for this particular role that's actually able to observe strictly the data for your individual taxpayers, okay? The last one I want to show you here for the row access policies is I've got a number of geographic center tax users, okay? And what I'm doing there is, for example, tax user East is going to be able to see both corporate and individual taxpayer data, but only for specific regions. In this case, it'll be for East. So South Carolina, New Jersey, Florida, Ohio. Again, only 9 rows are being selected. If I do the same thing with one of my other roles, tax user West, I would only be seeing the tax data for those taxpayers that are in the western region of the U.S. Okay, so that's kind of how we can handle things with regard to row access policies. I'm only going to have time to show one thing out of data masking here. So
I love how much you can do in 5 minutes. Just having the whole
I'm an
day with you
instructor
would be
here,
like.
so we're used to working with time constraints here. Okay, so let me just show you real fast over here. Okay, here again within this example here, I'm just going to go ahead and create one single masking policy here on Social Security number. Whoops, sorry. Let me go ahead and set the. Darn it, let me go up here. We get the context set the way that I need to. Sorry about that. And what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to simply create one masking policy, SSN mask. Okay. In fact, I'll just create also one for email as well here. And what I'm doing is I'm restricting access to how columns for emails and for taxpayer IDs is going to be seen depending on the role that's being used here. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to go ahead just for the taxpayer table here. In fact, I think that's going to okay. Yeah, there we go. And I've associated these masking policies directly to the taxpayer table. Strictly here. So let me go ahead and just show you down below here. In fact, I'll only have time to show, I think, one of these. Let's try this one over here. Say, let's do junior analyst corporate. Okay. So in this case, now again, I also have that row access policy currently in play here. So you can see in this case for the junior analyst is only going to be seeing corporate data. That's applying the row access policy. But we're also noticing here that in this case, the policies that set up for masking are partially masking the taxpayer ID and the corporate taxpayer name. Okay. Again, notice I actually used a regular expression to partially mask, and that's very common, right? When you actually shop online, you actually see things like a portion of your Social Security number and things like that. Okay. The only other thing I was going to show you here before I turn it back over. You also have the ability, I know I'm covering more than we were probably expecting, but I wanted to show you one query here, is that I have the ability of going ahead through access history, and I've already generated some workload in this particular account, of being able to audit access to any of my sensitive data that I've already gone ahead and tagged within my account here, okay? So in this case, we got 73 queries that I found here. And you can see here, not only do I see the information about who actually queried what column and so forth, but the actual query that was running. You can see there's a series of select stars. Some are actually calling for specific columns that we're reading. You'll also notice here that because we're actually able to see both read and write operations, here's one right there. That's actually an unload of data that was done out of the taxpayer table. So as I was mentioning earlier, you have the ability to provide an end-to-end auditing of all of the accesses to your sensitive data. And in our class, we go into this in an enormous amount of depth, showing you how we can actually apply data lineage requirements through reporting off of data, and also be able to address things like which columns in the taxpayer table that we've tagged as highly sensitive don't have any current masking policies on there. That way we can actually provide a way of validating whether we properly applied policies to protect any of my sensitive data that I've already tagged. So that's kind of what I wanted to show you in the demo. I know I went a little bit longer, but again, I'll turn it back over to you, Felipe.
Mind blown. This is really exciting. Not only how you show it off, how easy it is to make it work, how difficult this can be in other places, but Snowflake just made it easy, and you just can run through these demos. Ankit says he's really impressed, and I'm impressed too. There are more questions, but let me go back to a very important announcement from Snowflake is that there is a code where people can get a 10% discount for the class. So that's really cool to see. Now through October 31, 10% off with this promo code. So
in October only.
Yes, October only. do it before Halloween. And I have my last question for Lynn because we need to start going off. But please, we are going to check your comments. We are replying to comments too, and we would love to work with people. But my last question is for people that now are ready to sign up for the training. How do they get the best out of it?
Oh, to register for the training, go to training.snowflake.com. And I think there's some links directly to the class there, and take advantage of our 10% off in October by registering by October 31st with the promo code. You don't have to complete the training in October. You just have to purchase by October 31st. As well
Perfect.
as, it's a 1-day class. Free up your day. It's a full day. So, focus, give yourself some focus time to learn about this and see more of the demos and get to practice yourself what Kurt has shown you.
Yes. Two last questions I see here. Yes, people can get a trial environment. They have the Snowflake free trial. They just need an email address to start playing with this. If they want uh, quick ways, like to do scripts like this, go to our quick starts. They will go step by step so people can reproduce these examples. You have a lot of cool examples, Kurt. I saw all the notebooks you have on your site. So hopefully we'll see more of that. And I want to thank both of you and everyone that joined us today. This makes me happy. This is really, really exciting way to just calling out your slide, Kurt, to identify, protect, share, and track and analyze how people are doing data. And this is really important for regulations and because we need to protect everyone's privacy. So thanks a lot, and I will bring the dancing bear.